before you reach for that can of bug spray, before you light another citronella candle that barely works, and before you spend another summer hiding indoors because mosquitoes have taken over your backyard, watch this all the way through. What I'm about to share will completely change how you think about your outdoor space. Mosquitoes aren't just annoying, they're dangerous. They transmit malaria, dengue fever, West Nile virus, Zika, and dozens of other diseases affecting millions every year. Yet most of us fight back with nothing more than a citronella candle and a prayer. That ends today. I'm covering 15 powerful mosquito-repelling plants you can grow and exactly how to use each one for maximum effect. Hit that subscribe button and let's build your force field. Plant 1. Lavender. Lavender seems too lovely to be a weapon, but it contains linalool, a compound we find relaxing that mosquitoes experience as a chemical assault on their senses. Linalool disrupts their olfactory receptors, scrambling their ability to sniff out blood meals. When they can't smell you, they can't find you. Lavender thrives in USDA zones 5 to 8, with Spanish lavender pushing into zones 9 to 10. It demands full sun and well-drained soil. The number one mistake is overwatering. Lavender wants dry conditions between waterings. Plant it along patio edges, footpaths, and beneath windows where brushing against it releases oils into the air. Cut fresh sprigs for doorways and outdoor tables. It looks beautiful and works. Plant 2. Citronella grass. Everyone knows citronella from candles, but the actual plant, Cymbopogon nardus, is something else entirely. A tall ornamental grass reaching 4 to 6 feet. It's the original unprocessed source of citronella oil. When you brush against it or walk nearby on warm days, you get concentrated bursts of that citrusy scent mosquitoes cannot tolerate. Rub a fresh leaf directly on your skin for natural repellent that rivals commercial options. Citronella grass grows best in USDA zones 9 to 11 as a perennial. In cooler zones, grow it in large containers you can bring inside before frost. It loves heat, humidity, and full sun. Use it as a living privacy screen or border plant. Cluster it because more surface area means wider protection zones. Plant 3. Catnip researchers at Iowa State University found that nepetalactone, the compound in catnip, is approximately 10 times more effective at repelling mosquitoes than DDET, the gold standard chemical repellent the military has used for decades. That finding caused a stir in the scientific community for good reason. Catnip doesn't work as a topical repellent like DEET, but as a garden plant saturating your outdoor space, it's extraordinarily effective. It grows in USDA zones 3 to 9, one of the most adaptable plants here. It thrives in full sun to partial shade, tolerates poor soils, and requires almost zero attention once established. Grow it in containers or use root barriers. It spreads aggressively through underground runners like its mint cousins. In a pot on the patio, it's perfectly behaved, beautifully fragrant, and incredibly functional. Plant 4. Rosemary. Rosemary earns its place 10 times over. Beautiful structural plant, pollinator magnet, essential culinary herb, and deeply despised by mosquitoes. Its sharp, resinous scent comes from camphor, cineol, and alpha-pinene. Intensely volatile compounds that evaporate easily into the air, overwhelming mosquito sensory systems. Rosemary performs best in USDA zones 7 to 10 as a perennial, with hardy varieties like ARP surviving into zone 6. It demands full sun and excellent drainage. Here's the game changer. Throw fresh or dried rosemary sprigs directly onto your fire pit when entertaining. As it burns, the smoke releases oils that drift over your seating area, creating a natural, aromatic mosquito-repelling zone that smells like a gourmet wood fire. Plant 5. Basil. Most repellent plants need crushing to release oils. Basil is different. It emits protective compounds continuously and passively, making it effortlessly effective. Its essential oils, particularly estragol, linalool, and eugenol, are potent deterrents. Studies show basil oil is toxic to mosquito larvae, meaning plants near standing water may reduce the next generation before they hatch. Basil is a warm season annual in most climates, perennial in zones 10 to 12. It wants heat, full sun, and consistent moisture. Hates cold, so don't rush it into spring gardens. Position potted basil near every outdoor seating area, along railings, beside doorways, and on windowsills where breeze carries scent indoors. Lemon basil and cinnamon basil have particularly strong scents. Holy basil, Tulsi, has been used as an insect repellent in Southeast Asia for centuries. Bonus, harvest it for fresh pesto all summer. Plant 6. Lemon balm. Lemon balm smells like lemon candy crossed with a summer garden. Absolutely wonderful. As a mint family member, and it carries characteristic aromatic oils and aggressive spreading habits plus impressive mosquito-repelling power. The compound citronellol gives it that distinctive lemon scent mosquitoes find deeply unpleasant. Crush leaves between your palms and rub on exposed skin. It's gentle, natural, and genuinely effective. Lemon balm is incredibly cold-hardy, USDA zones 3 to 7, and tolerates partial shade better than most plants here, making it ideal for shadier garden spots. It's remarkably drought-tolerant once established. Grow it in containers. Lemon balm in the ground spreads by runners and self-seeding until it claims far more territory than intended. A large pot near your patio looks lush, smells divine, brews into calming tea, and works as your mosquito deterrent around the clock. Plant 7. Marigolds. If you want the single most cost-effective, a widely available foolproof mosquito-repelling plant, it's Marigolds. 6-packs cost a few dollars at any garden center. They grow in virtually every climate during warm seasons and are absolutely loaded with pyrethrum, the active ingredient in many commercial insecticides affecting insect nervous systems on contact. Marigolds are annuals in USDA zones 2 to 11 during frost-free months, performing best in full sun. They're drought-tolerant, heat-loving, and bloom continuously from late spring through first hard frost if you deadhead spent flowers. Plant dense borders around patios, vegetable garden edges, walkways, and window boxes. The denser the planting, the stronger the protection. They also repel aphids, whiteflies, cabbage worms, and deer tend to avoid them too. Plant 8. Peppermint. Peppermint's sharp, electric, an intensely cool scent is one of the most recognizable in the plant world, and the same quality that makes it refreshing to us makes it essentially unbearable to mosquitoes. The menthol and menthone compounds overwhelm mosquito sensory receptors, making normal function nearly impossible around high concentrations. Peppermint is cold-hardy in USDA zones 3 to 8, and one of the most vigorous plants you'll grow. It loves moisture, tolerates partial shade reasonably well, and produces dense, fragrant foliage all season with virtually no care. Here's what makes it especially versatile. If a mosquito bites you anyway, crushing peppermint leaves and rubbing them on the bite immediately soothes, itch, and reduces inflammation. It's offense and defense in one plant. Why but grow it in containers? Peppermint spreads through underground rhizomes with supernatural relentlessness. In a large pot on the patio, it's gorgeous, functional, and completely manageable. Cluster pots near seating, the grill, and back doors. Plant 9. Lemon-scented geraniums. You've seen these labeled mosquito plants. Marketing that's simplistic, but not wrong. Pelargonium citrosum contains high concentrations of citronellol and geraniol, both legitimate, well-documented natural insect repellents. Geraniol has been the subject of considerable scientific research showing strong repellent activity against mosquitoes. These are perennials in USDA zones 10 to 11, grown as annuals or container plants elsewhere. They adore heat, full sun, and moderate watering. Let them dry slightly between waterings. They're drought-tolerant once established and actually produce more aromatic oils under mild stress, meaning a little benign neglect makes them work harder. The leaves hold the magic, rub them, brush against them, or crush them for immediate, intense scent release. Position strategically along paths, near doorways, and in hanging baskets where people naturally contact foliage. Plant 10. Eucalyptus lemon. Eucalyptus is the only plant-based insect repellent officially recommended by the CDC as an effective alternative to DET for protection against mosquito-borne illness. That's not a small endorsement. That's the CDC saying this works. The active compound PMD, paramethane 3,8-diol, provides protection comparable to low-concentration DEET formulas. Most eucalyptus species suit USDA zones 8 to 11, as though cold-hardy varieties like cider gum survive into zone 7. Standard trees reach 60 feet, but dwarf varieties work well in home gardens or large containers. Even in cooler climates, keep a container specimen to move inside in winter, or use cut branches. Silver dollar eucalyptus branches placed near outdoor dining areas release that clean, medicinal, deeply effective scent. It dries beautifully and retains much scent and oil even when dried. Plant 11. Sage has been burned in spiritual practices for thousands of years across dozens of cultures, and there's always been a practical reason underneath. Burning sage produces smoke that drives away insects. The aromatic compounds, including camphor, cineol, and thujone, are potent natural insect deterrents, especially when burned. The smoke carries these compounds outward in a spreading cloud mosquitoes find completely intolerable. Common garden sage is hardy in USDA zones 4 to 8, with ornamental varieties pushing that range slightly. It wants full sun and well-drained, even poor soil. It's extremely drought-tolerant and becomes more aromatic and potent in hot, dry conditions, exactly when you need it most. Grow it for beauty. It produces stunning spikes of purple, blue, or white flowers pollinators love. Harvest regularly through summer, keep bundles drying in your outdoor space, and toss generous handfuls onto your fire pit during gatherings. The smoke smells extraordinary, herbal, earthy, warm, and clears your seating area faster than almost anything else. Plant 12. Pennyroyal. Pennyroyal has been used as an insect repellent since ancient Rome and Greece. It's one of the most powerfully aromatic mint family members, containing very high concentrations of pulegone, a compound essentially toxic to insects, including mosquitoes, fleas, and ticks. It's a low-growing, creeping plant, making beautiful, fragrant ground cover, particularly effective planted between stepping stones or along pathways where foot traffic crushes it regularly, releasing oils into the air. Every step through a pennyroyal-lined path becomes a tiny burst of natural mosquito repellent. Pennyroyal is cold-hardy in USDA zones 6 to 9 and tolerates partial shade reasonably well. Useful where other sun-loving plants struggle, it spreads happily, contain it in pots, or use root barriers. Important note, pennyroyal is toxic if ingested in significant quantities, and the essential oil is extremely dangerous. Never use it as a topical repellent. As a garden plant you're walking past and occasionally brushing, it's perfectly safe and wonderfully effective. Keep it away from areas where small children or pets might chew plants. Plant 13. Alliums. Ornamental alliums are among the most dramatically beautiful plants you can grow. Those enormous, perfectly round globes of tiny purple, blue, or white flowers on tall, elegant stems look like avant-garde floral installations. And they're quietly, efficiently protecting your yard the entire time. Alliums, which include ornamental varieties plus edible relatives garlic, onions, chives, and leeks, produce sulfur-based compounds, including allicin and various sulfoxides, that are deeply offensive to mosquitoes, aphids, and other garden pests. The entire allium family produces a chemical signal that says, "Danger, stay away," to the insect world. Most ornamental alliums are bulbs planted in fall for spring and early summer blooms, reliably cold-hardy in USDA zones 4 to 9, depending on variety. They thrive in full sun with excellent drainage bulbs. In wet soil will rot. Plant in generous clusters throughout borders and beds, mixed into perennial plantings where they'll weave up through other plants, providing visual drama while doing protective work below. They're completely deer-resistant, naturalize, and multiply over years, and leave beautiful sculptural seed heads for late summer arrangements. Plant 14. Bee balm. Bee balm, Monarda, might be the most wildlife-friendly plant on this list. Hummingbirds seek it out specifically. Native bees depend on it. Butterflies visit constantly. It supports more beneficial wildlife per square foot than almost any other garden plant. And quietly it repels mosquitoes using thymol, the same active compound in many mouthwashes and antiseptic throat lozenges that mosquitoes find deeply unpleasant. That combination is essentially unbeatable, simultaneously supporting the ecosystem while undermining the one insect you want gone. Bee balm is reliably perennial in USDA zones 3 to 9, making it one of the most cold-hardy and widely growable plants here. It prefers full sun to partial shade and consistent moisture, rewarding you with massive, shaggy, wildly vibrant blooms in red, pink, lavender, purple, and white from midsummer into early fall, exactly peak mosquito season. It's prone to powdery mildew in humid conditions, so choose mildew-resistant varieties like Jacob Klein or Raspberry Wine. I space generously for airflow and divide every 2 to 3 years to keep it vigorous. Plant 15. Pitcher plants. I saved this for last because it's in a completely different category. Every other plant repels mosquitoes. This one kills them. Pitcher plants have evolved specifically to capture and digest insects as their primary food source, nature in full predator mode. Pitcher plants, primarily Sarracenia species native to North America, form long tube-shaped leaves that look like elegant upright pitchers. Mosquitoes are attracted by nectar and scent, crawl or fly into the tube, then cannot escape due to downward-pointing hairs and slippery interior surfaces. They fall into digestive fluid at the base and are slowly broken down and absorbed. It's ruthlessly efficient. North American Sarracenia species are cold hardy in USDA zones 5 to 9. They need very specific conditions: full sun, consistently wet and acidic soil, and nutrient-poor growing media. Use a mix of peat moss and perlite. Water with rainwater or distilled water only. Tap water is too alkaline and contains minerals that will kill them. Set them in trays of standing water to keep roots perpetually moist. If you have a low-lying, perpetually wet spot that's been a problem area, that's your perfect pitcher plant site. Build a small bog garden and let them work. They'll also draw enormous fascination from guests. Nothing breaks the ice at a party like showing people a plant that eats mosquitoes.